don't explode, they erode. What's up, guys? This is Danny Farrar. On today's episode of The Herd Truth, we're going to be doing a deep dive into the drift and the 4 Ds that lead you there. What I want to make sure that I lead off with is if you get anything out of today's episode, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with a man that you know needs to hear this message. With that being said, let's delve right into it today and admit to each other that most men don't explode. That if you walked to the rubble of a man's life where everything has crumbled around him, it didn't happen overnight. Sure, there may be this one spectacular moment where everything catches up and it does seem like there's an explosion, but if we start to pull through the rubble, what we're going to find is evidence that the support beams were under duress for a long time. We're going to find evidence that his life was not passing the code. And at the end of the day, the code that we live our life by here in the herd is real, raw, relevant results. And it begins first and foremost with honesty, with truth. And we're going to talk about today that quiet cancer that's killing the modern man. But more importantly, we're going to show you how to reverse the rot. We're going to break down each of the Ds. We're going to talk about the disconnection, the desensitization, the devaluation, and ultimately the destruction. We're going to talk about how you can fight back with the core 4 of body, being, balance, and business. And then we're going to wrap up with a call to arms for you to rise to the calling that is your life. Because you are still the miracle that your mama and daddy and the doctor saw the day that you were born. But somewhere along the line, you started to drift from this reality. And what the drift is a passive slide into destruction. And it all begins when a man lies to himself. There are plenty of books that you can pick up that speak to this concept. Look up Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich by the same author. You can also check out Screw Tape Letters. And what you're going to find in here is that the enemy, the devil himself, loves to watch a man drift. He loves to watch you have no true north. Because if you do not have a true north, as they say, you don't know where you're going, all roads will lead you there. But the problem with this is that so many of these roads are going to lead you astray. And again, you're not going to even notice it. You see, if you had a true north, if you knew exactly what you wanted out of your body, if you knew exactly your relationship with God, if you knew exactly how you needed to show up in the relationships in your life as a spouse, as a father, as a leader, as a boss, as an employee, as a friend, as a brother, if you knew all of that, if you had your business in line, if your bank account was where it needed to be, if all of these things can only happen when all 4 are in line, they're all working in harmony, they're all feeding each other. But the truth is, most men are 1 to 2-dimensional men. The truth is that you may be killing it in business, but you may be a shit husband. The truth is, you may be a great dad, but you're out of shape. The truth is, you might be able to quote Bible scripture, but you can't make money to save your life. The truth is, your bank account may be overflowing, but you feel empty inside because you have no connection to God. And you may ask yourself, how does this happen? And is it even possible for you as a man to win in body, being, balance, and business? And the answer is yes. But first, you have to live by a code. And that code is real, raw, relevant results. And when we look at that, real goes to blocking the very first step in the downward spiral that begins the 4 Ds. And the first D is disconnection. And disconnection is that first lie. It's the first time that you said, I'm fine, when you weren't. It's the first time that you stopped checking in with God, with your body, with your wife. It's the first time you buried the pain instead of facing it. When my ex-wife left, I said, I'm fine. When my ex-wife left and I had the responsibilities of the bills and I had the responsibilities of figuring out 50% custody and I had the responsibilities of doing all the things I had to do that when I was once in a team, now facing it alone, I didn't feel like I had the permission to feel this pain. Because I didn't have time to feel this pain. I had things that had to get done. I had debt that had to be paid off. I had bills that had to be covered. I had to find a way to keep the business running while also only having my kids 50% of the time. I had to face the pain of only having my kids 50% of the time, knowing that I didn't sign up to be a 50% father. I had to face the pain of being rejected by somebody that I thought was my best friend, somebody I thought that I was going to be with the rest of my life. I had to face the pain of them walking away. I had to live with the feeling of not being enough. But the problem is I never lived with this. I didn't process it at all. I lied. I said I was okay. I buried it deep inside. And I became a man that said, I will get it done. I will take this all with my two hands and I will solve this shit myself. I buried the pain. I pushed away friends. I hurt good people. I turned away from God, not in the sense that I renounced God, but I turned away from God in the sense that I said, I've got this. Why? Because in that moment, I had begged God for this. I had begged God for this marriage. I had begged God for these families. Laid on my bunk in Iraq, I asked God, I said, just let me get home and have a family. And so when the family was gone, I felt like God didn't live up to his end of the deal. And so I buried it. And then what happened next was I started to become desensitized. In order to keep my pain subdued, I became numb to it. I stopped feeling conviction. I started to laugh off sin. I started to say that I could do things because everybody else was doing them. I started to say that I could sleep with whoever I wanted to sleep with because who did it hurt? It's two consenting adults. And I slept with everyone. I slept with married women. I slept with any woman that would take the time to come lay down with me. And why? I didn't understand it at the time. I was looking for a connection. I wanted to feel like somebody wanted me. I wanted to feel like I was somebody's dream. I wanted to feel like someone chose me. But here was the bad part about it. I didn't really believe they chose me. I didn't really believe that these women that were cheating with me were choosing me over their man. The truth of the matter is, while I was trying to find my masculine nature back that I had lost because I'd been left, the truth of the matter is, it was still even more emasculating because I did not feel like I was special. I simply felt like I was there. And part of the thing that I used, another lie that I told myself to justify acting the way that I did was, if it wasn't me, it was just going to be someone else. It was just going to be something else. And so the whole concept of who I hurt didn't really bother me anymore because I justified it as all of these people were going to hurt anyway. And that's where devaluation comes in. It's the mockery. You now ridicule the very things that one time gave you purpose. You say to yourself, everybody's sleeping with everybody. Might as well get mine. And you start to find yourself doing it more and more and more. You start to mock things in your life that should matter, things that should have value, honor, discipline. You start to say they're corny. You start to say that they don't care. You allow yourself to get out of shape and become fat and soft, and you say, who cares? You start to cheat. You start to sleep around. You say everybody does it. You start to spend your money frivolously, and you say, you only live once. But the truth of the matter is, you're making a mockery of yourself because your reputation will take a hit. People that held you in high esteem will start to look at you differently. I know this. I have experienced this. I have gone from being respected to not respecting myself. And what I will promise you this, friends, is that whereas you don't care what a stranger says, you do care if you believe that what they say is true. And I started to see myself in a light that I knew I never wanted to be in. A light that I never wanted my kids to find a man that was acting like I was acting. This is when you find yourself in destruction, in the crash. And I wish that I could say that more men got back on course before the crash. But the truth is, for most of us, we have to crash. We have to hit rock bottom. We have to go through the divorce. We have to go to the bankruptcy. We have to go through the addiction. We have to deal with the heart attack. Why? Because it started with a lie. You see, the crash is the truth. When the divorce happens, that is true. There's nothing you can't work around it. It's a divorce. When you lose all your money and the bank account is zero, that is true. It is hard facts. You have to look at it. When you realize all of a sudden, I can't put down the bottle or I can't put down the pills, that's a hard fact. And when you find yourself laying in a hospital bed because you had a heart attack or you're on diabetes, then those are facts. And facts are the gateway to freedom. Because truth is the gateway to transformation, because where truth is, God is. But most of us can't face the truth until we crash. This is the wake-up moment. When I lost my nonprofit, I'd worked my entire life for it, meant everything to me. When I lost it, there was a bottom, when that sense of purpose was taken from me, that was my wake-up moment. Still bothers me to this day. It probably always will bother me. And for so long, I blamed everyone else, said they stole it from me. And then I found the way. I started to live my life by the code. Real, raw, relevant results. And real is you had to look yourself in the mirror and you had to be honest with yourself. I lost my nonprofit because of me. I can make all the justifications in the world about why I slept around. I can say that I was molested as a kid growing up. I can say that every woman I've ever been with has cheated on me. I can say that everyone that I loved and cared about has left me. I can say that all of those things justified getting me to a point where I didn't give a fuck about anybody else. And I felt like I should be selfish for a little while. I felt like I should just take what's mine for a little while. But if I had just been honest at the very beginning, said I was heartbroken probably the 10th time in my life. If I had just been honest and said I was petrified about the future, that I was scared about how I was going to handle this, how I was going to be a single father, how I was going to ever find love again. If I had just been honest and said I'm petrified about letting someone in. If I had just been honest and said I'm not fucking ready to date anybody else yet. If I had just been honest and said I can't do this on my own, God. Just been honest. How much different my life would be. But the beautiful thing about the pit to the peak is that the crash is not final. And you don't have to concern yourself with being perfect if you can be honest and consistent. If you can build a plan around facts, this is where I am today. And then talk about the raw feelings that you have. How do I feel about where I am today? Can I just be honest? If not to anyone else, can I at least start off being honest with myself? I am heartbroken. I am sad. I don't like this. And then we get relevant. We get focused. How is this showing up in his life? How is this manifesting for me? What is the purpose of this? What do I need to do? And then we plan, where do we want to be a year from now? Where do I want to be a year from now in my body? Where do I want to be a year from now in my being? Where do I want to be a year from now with my balance? Where do I want to be a year from now in my business? And then we become committed, ruthlessly committed to my results. And that means not trying to draft up 15 million different plans. It means, what did I say I was going to do? And I'm going to run this system even when it sucks. Even when it sucks. Even when I don't feel like it, even when it feels boring, I'm going to run the system. So where in your life are you drifting? Where in your life do you not have a clear destination you are headed? Where in your life across the core four of body, being, balance, and business do you have no clue where the road you're on right now is taking you? Where in your life are you drifting? Can you fix it right now by looking the man in the mirror and stop lying about it? If you can do that, you can stop the drift. There is no trying. You either did it or you didn't. The weak man will ignore the erosion. They will lie and say it's not there until it all collapses. But the strong man faces that hard truth. They see that storm on the horizon and they do not run. They rebuild. If this episode hit home for you, do not stay in isolation. Find yourself a tribe. Find yourself a brotherhood. Find yourself a system and a process that will carry you through the hard times. If you are tired of the drift, it can stop today, this very minute. Just start telling the truth. If you need more help with this, the Brotherhood here at the Herd would love to help you. Because at the end of the day, it's run with or run over. The choice is always yours. If you get anything out of this episode, again, please like, subscribe, and share. And keep living your life, head down, horns up. Salute. Boom.